playoffs. Playoff basketball. It's a lot of people's favorite time of this season. What is going on, you guys? Welcome in here to episode 2 of the Ball Up podcast. I am your host, Baller's Life 99. In today's episode of the Ball Up podcast, episode 2, we'll be discussing my playoff predictions, my bracket, what I think is going to happen in each series. So basically how I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be giving my, my score prediction for each series, score prediction for each series, and I'll also be, I'll be giving those, and I'll also be giving my, thoughts on who will be the best players from the series, the top players, like the MVP from each series, from either the winning team or the losing team. Like the Nuggets Jazz game, round one, game 1 is already on right now. So we are going to be discussing this. I'm going to kick things off here with the Eastern Conference, and I'm going to be starting it by seeding. So the 1-seed Milwaukee Bucks versus the 8-seed Orlando Magic. I do expect the Milwaukee Bucks to take this one in 4 games. I think that the MVP of this series is going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo, playing at another, like usual, MVP level. He is going to be, sorry for the noise there. He is, I think, going to be the inaugural MVP this year, the inaugural MVP this season. So I think Giannis and the Bucks take that one in 4. Not too much to talk about with that one. This one, I'm seeing a lot of controversy about the 2-seeded Toronto Raptors taking on the 7-seed Brooklyn Nets. A lot of people I'm seeing are taking the Nets in this series, or thinking the Nets could shock the world and surprise some people. Personally, I'm taking Toronto in 5 here. They have struggled a little bit in the bubble, but I think that they're fine. Not even really struggled. It was just against the Celtics, but Siakam's had his slump. I think that the best player ultimately will be Kyle Lowry in this series. He's playing very well. I think that he and Siakam are going to play well. I think LeVert's going to have a good good series. Even Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot might play well. Jared Allen, believe could play decently, but I think ultimately it's going to be Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, all those guys, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, everyone just chipping in. I ultimately think Siakam and Lowry in Toronto will take this one in 5 games. So now we have the next series, which is going to be the 3-seeded Boston Celtics versus the Philadelphia 76ers as the 6th seed without Ben Simmons. Okay, this one is pretty controversial as a Celtics fan for me, seeing how they play against Philly, struggle against guarding Joel Embiid. I'm gonna take the Celtics in 7 in this series. I'm gonna take the Celtics taking this one in 7 games. I think that Joel Embiid is gonna have a great monster series. I ultimately think Jason Tatum will be the MVP of this series and Jaylen Brown, but if Kemba can stay healthy too, I hope everyone stays healthy and these whole playoffs. I'm assuming without injuries here. I do think that Boston will take it in 7. Moving on, we have the 4 versus 5 matchup, which is the 4-seed Miami Heat versus the Indiana Pacers. I have the Miami Heat, the 5-seed Pacers. I have the Miami Heat taking this one in 6 games. I think that they'll close this one out and set the monster series from T.J. Warren. I think that T.J. Warren's due for a great series. But Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, I think, are going to be ultimately the 2 best players. I think they're the best players in this series as of right now, not Oladipo, because he's not 100%. He's 100%, but he's still recovering from his injury. So I do think that the best players in this series are going to be Bam Adebayo, personally, and Jimmy Butler. I think Butler is the kryptonite to T.J. Warren as Warren is on the defensive end. Obviously, Butler's on the defensive end. Obviously, Warren is then on the offensive end. And I think Butler can shut him down, just like we saw when he held him to 12 points earlier in this T.J. Warren kind of became human again. So that is my Eastern Conference matchup. We're going to be moving on to the first round of the West, and I have the 1-seeded Lakers versus the 8-seeded Portland Trailblazers. I have the Lakers taking this one in 6 games. Hearing a lot about Portland that they can win. I personally just don't see it. I think the Lakers are going to be fine in the bubble, in the playoff. Well, they haven't been great. I think they're going to be better in the playoffs. Kuzma's actually playing pretty well. I think they're going to be fine in the playoffs. I do have the Los Angeles Lakers taking this one in 6 games, but I do expect a monster series from Damian Lillard, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, and even Carmelo Anthony, CJ McCollum, Yusuf Nurkic, all those guys. A lot of star players, I would say, a lot of really good players in the series. Wouldn't say Nurkic or Melo's a star, even McCollum, but a lot of very good players, good role players in this series. I do expect this one to be one of the better round 1 matchups. Okay, next one we have the 2-seeded Los Angeles Clippers versus the Dallas Mavericks, the 7 seed. They have trouble against the Clippers, man, but I think they take it to 6 games. I think that Dallas pushes it. Luka plays tremendous. Porzingis plays tremendous, but ultimately it's Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Patrick Beverley who stop this Dallas Maverick run, this team, in 6 games. But I think it's a great start for Dallas, and they're just in a great place right now. Next, I have the 3-seeded Denver Nuggets beating the 6-seeded Utah Jazz. I believe that this one will go to 7 games. Denver, I don't know if they have too much ready, if they're ready for have too much experience in the playoffs, but I do personally think that this will go to 7 games. And if you saw that 2 overtime game where it took so long they even missed the first quarter, the Lakers Pacers game on TNT, not Clippers. But I mean that was a crazy game. I think that we're gonna see most of that in round 1. That game's actually on as I am doing this. But yeah, I do expect a monster series from Donovan Mitchell, Michael Porter Jr., and I also expect a great series from Nikola Jokic. Next, we have the 4-seeded Houston Rockets taking on the 5-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder. I take Oklahoma City in 6, 7. I'm going to actually give them the benefit of the doubt. I think they're going to make this a 6-game series. Russ is out game 1. Maybe Oklahoma City can set the tempo. It's exactly what I think they're going to do. Shea plays really well against Houston. Chris Paul does. They play very well against Houston. They can get Gallinari for the spot up 3. They have Dennis Schroeder back. I think that they're going to take this one in 6. Now, we have the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. We have the 1-seeded Milwaukee Bucks who defeated the Orlando Magic in 4, I believe. This is my playoffs, my predictions. They are going to be playing the Miami Heat. I have the Bucks in this series in 6 games. I think Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are going to have a great case for some of the best defensive things we've seen in the defensive team in the playoffs. I think they're going to lock down Giannis, but ultimately I don't think it's going to be enough. Great run by the Heat here, but I've got the Bucks taking it and going into the Eastern Conference Finals, winning in 6 games. Now I have the Boston Celtics, the 3 seed who defeated the Philadelphia 76ers, the Toronto Raptors who knocked off the Brooklyn Nets. I have the this is so tough. You know what? I'm giving it. This is the Celtics in 7 games. The way they played against Toronto, I think they finally figured out how to match up against them the right way. Tatum has to get a lot of shots. Brown has to get a lot of shots. Kemba Walker plays great against them. Ultimately, I think that Boston takes it in 7 in a tremendous series, probably the best one we've seen so far. So the stage is set for the Eastern Conference Finals. It'll be Boston versus Milwaukee. And on the other side, it is going to be the second round of the West here still, Western Conference Playoffs. Lakers, the 1 seed, defeated the 8-seeded Portland Trailblazers. They're matching up against Oklahoma City, the 5 seed. Houston's the 4 seed. I do personally think that the Lakers will take this in 5 games. I don't think the Lakers are going to be fool's gold in the bubble. I think they're going to be just fine, just like we saw them this whole regular season. Not too much to say, but great run here by Oklahoma City, who I did personally believe would make the playoffs as a 6 or 7 seed. They proved me wrong. They're even a 5 seed. I think they proved a lot of people wrong. Now we are going to be discussing the next round matchup, next series. Clippers and Denver Nuggets. Clippers take this one, and honestly, I think 5 games for the Clippers. I mean, they're just on a different level right now. They are going to be taking this one in 5 games, even easier than Dallas. I think they will just obliterate Denver here. Now, that said, Denver already beat Utah. They played fine. Clippers beat Dallas, and they're going to beat Denver too here. They're going to be playing the Lakers, the 1 seed and the 2 seed in the Western Conference Finals. But back to the East here, the 1-seeded Bucks versus the 3-seeded Boston Celtics. It's going to be a great series. Ultimately, I think Milwaukee will take this in 5 or 6. I'm gonna say 5. I just don't think the Celtics team is enough right now to stop Giannis. I think that Jimmy Butler and Bam, the Heat, are the best team in the East to stop Giannis, along with Philadelphia, the 76ers, but they don't have Ben Simmons. So I think that it's going to be the likely out for the whole season, rest of the playoffs. I do think that it is going to be up to Jason Tatum to guard Giannis. Daniel Tice will have to help out. They can't let Lopez shoot threes. Middleton's going to pop some. I think it's going to be of course, the Celtics got to hope for good calls again. But, they haven't been getting against Milwaukee in a long time. I think it's going to be going to the Bucks, and they're going to be the first team in the finals. They are going, I think, to ultimately... Man, this is tough. This is tough. I mean, think about it. The Lakers barely escaped Denver with their stars playing, but the Nuggets didn't have their stars playing. So how are they going to match up against the, I think, second-best team in the West, or even first-best team, the best team, the Los Angeles Clippers? This one is so very tough, man. I don't know. But honestly, I'm going to be giving this series to the Los Angeles Clippers. I think that the Clippers are going to strive here in this series. I think they're going to contain LeBron and AD. Not stop, but contain very vividly. I think they're going to the finals, and I think that Anthony Davis might consider leaving in free agency, but ultimately I think he's going to re-sign with the Lakers. I mean, he might not even be in that beautiful California, Los Angeles weather next season. We might still be in the bubble. Personally, I think we will. I'm not sure, though. Not sure when crowds will be back. But, finals here. Milwaukee Bucks versus the Los Angeles Clippers here. I think the Bucks are going to take this in 7 games. I do think that the or 6. I'm going to push it to 6. I think, Giannis and Kawhi. Giannis isn't going to let this happen. A fluke, as he would probably think, as a lot of Bucks fans would say. It might have been a fluke what happened last year, but Kawhi was just playing on a different level. I do ultimately think that the Bucks will win now. Giannis will get his revenge on Kawhi. Paul George won't be enough to stop Giannis. Middleton on George will be a terrific matchup. I think Bledsoe outplays Beverly, but that defensive point guard matchup is going to be just tremendous. It's going to be stellar. I do ultimately think that Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks will be named the 2019 to 2020 season with the restart NBA champions. That is all I have for you guys on this episode of the Ball Up Podcast. If you have not already hit that subscribe button, please make sure to do so. Please leave a like on this video and comment down below who do you guys think is coming out of the bubble. Next episode, we will be discussing the NBA awards, my prediction, or what I think will happen, who I would pick. We're going to also have a special guest on there. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.